Now
Let me go in and see us talking. Yeah.
it looks like it is on my end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Looks like we're
it is.
good.
We're streaming on both sides now. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. A little technical difficulties, but thank you for tuning in to this week's Stock Talk episode. Thank you to Vincent for starting off the show with a super chat, and happy Sunday to you also. And I am Lisa J. Stocks. Today I have a co-host here I am dual streaming with. And so I am going to let her introduce herself and her channel.
Hello. Happy Sunday. I am Tashika Ma'at. I am the founder of Jama Wealth, and my YouTube channel is Jama Wealth. And I'm excited to be here with you, Lisa.
Thank you. So guys, make sure to subscribe to both of our channels. Tashika's information is in my description. And just be on the lookout. Make sure that notification bell is on so that you can keep up with all of our videos and live streams. And so today we have some topics that we're going to be chatting about. I titled this one, is this not the I'm sorry, I'm still struggling here. The wealth, I call this the wealth blueprint. No debt,
Okay.
smart investing. That is not what I'm seeing on my screen. Maybe that's why.
I see the wealth blueprint on my.
Okay.
It's titled the wealth blueprint.
All right, but I'm going to get it together. So listen, the show is really starting now. Okay. We'll have to chop this part off at the beginning. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about, some topics, just real life topics that could save you money, could help you with your investing journey, can give you encouragement, all of those things. So we are right there knocking on the holiday season, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatever holidays you may celebrate towards the end of the year. I know you've told me in the past you don't do much with Christmas gifts and things, but just one of those days that most people are, just a time frame that people are familiar with, that overall they spend more money. I think Thanksgiving is your most expensive meal of the year, statistically for most. And there is extra spending around the holiday times. So we're going to talk about avoiding debt, just your mindset, and so many different things. Not an interview, just a chat. So guys, feel free to drop your questions and let us know your thoughts, and make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and chat, hit the reactions, make sure that this is, engage with the video. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do, so that you can make sure to catch us in the future. So first topic, I already touched on holiday debt and just debt in general. What are your thoughts on that? I know, like I already said, you're not a big holiday spender, but I'm kind of tying this along with just avoiding debt in general, because prices are just insane. I've seen in the news. We just went through all of these different weeks, with so many weeks with the government shutdown, with people not getting their SNAP benefits at a time frame when groceries prices are insane for every person. And then healthcare benefits increasing drastically for those that are paying. I'm sure even if you're just, whether it's you pay on your own, or if it's through your open enrollment at your employer, you're seeing the difference. What are your thoughts on how we can try to stay in budget when our budget is getting so busted from where we started? It's one thing you create a budget on your, you have your income, you have your budget set, and then the increases are just so extreme that, even if you did build in a buffer there, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, and I think several things. So yeah, I don't celebrate holidays now, but I did in the past. It's been, I think 2015 was probably the last Christmas that I had. And up until that, I was one of those people that every year we would go into debt spending for Christmas, and then we spend the first part of the year paying it off. I think the last year was probably the last year that we celebrated Christmas was the first year where we actually did not have debt. And that was in part due to planning. Like I think I mentioned this before. So the question of like, how do you avoid getting into debt? Well, one of the things is, yes, we budget, but one of the things that I think people forget about or don't include in their budget is just having those sinking funds set up. Of, all right, I know Christmas happens every year at the same time, Thanksgiving happens every year at the same time, but just putting aside little incremental amounts. And what I always recommend is take a look at what you spent the previous year, right? Of how much did you spend for Christmas? And then, yes, prices are increasing. So you want to add a little extra on, like, well, I'm seeing that prices are increasing. Maybe I'm going to add a little bit extra. And then you're saving that over time. And the other thing that I would like to say is, like, especially when it comes to kids, I know to each person their own, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Mhm.
But like, especially for my kids, I remember the Christmases buying all these gifts for them. And the one thing that they played with instead of the new toys that we got them? The boxes that they came in. Like, they found more joy in the boxes. And so what I say all that to say is that I know we think that, oh, this is the time we should just buy and shower our kids with gifts, but especially when prices are high right now, like food costs it's ridiculous. Like you mentioned, the healthcare costs are increasing. I mean, I'm someone who pay healthcare out of pocket, and I'm like, it's ridiculous. So I think there are measures that we can put into place. I'm very much like, I don't want people to give up their power. Like, you are still in control. Yes, the prices are increasing. Yes, things are happening, but you still have power to control how and when you choose to spend. So proper planning is what I would always recommend. Now is the time to save for next year, right? But
Mhm.
as you are already in the season of Thanksgiving and Christmas, you want to set a plan for yourself and a goal of, like, how much am I planning to spend? And then try to stick to that as much as possible. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on, like, the shopping for the kids and how you spend, given everything and how expensive things are these days.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's the parents' dreams that, we're projecting, the things that we might not have
Oh, yeah.
had. And I had a friend, her daughter's big now, but when she had her baby shower, it was huge. And she had so much stuff. And, afterwards we went back to her house with all of the clothes and stuff. And not to be rude to the guests, but I flat out said to her, okay, how do you want to go about, before I didn't even want to bring this stuff up to the nursery. It was so much. I said, how do you want to go about sorting this out? Because there's going to be, I'm telling you, as a mom, I was a mom already, many years
Yeah.
experience. I told her a lot of the stuff she's going to grow out of and
Yeah.
not even get the chance to wear it. So why don't we, sort some out, return some, get
Yeah.
some bigger sizes? And she was like, no, 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 everyone chose this for her and I'm going to keep everything. And that's what she did. Her budget allows for that, but I think sometimes we get carried away and we have to think about the big picture.
Mhm.
I actually shared on my TikTok, a grandparent, no, on my Instagram, I found it on TikTok, and it was a grandmother, and she says, I'm never giving my grandchildren any
I
gifts.
saw that.
Did you
Yeah.
see that I shared it? Or, okay.
Yeah, I think I saw that you shared it. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, "Listen, there's a bunch of other people that are gonna give gifts," and I think I like to keep talking about that particular story
Mhm.
because, I might share it again to my story tonight because I think it's a great way to go about things. Why isn't someone in the family taking on instead of giving the clothes and the shoes and the video games and whatever kids are asking for nowadays,
Yeah.
why just take on 18 years of every time, give the parent, even if it's not a substantial amount, it's what fits into your budget. Be that family member, be that auntie or grandparent or godparent, whoever, that you're giving the money for the 529 plan or the whatever type of investment account that the child has, or a savings account if you're not at that stage yet. But yeah, I wish that people
Yeah.
would think about
I
that
love
for
that
their.
idea because
Yeah.
it definitely, I mean, like you said, you think about the toy, the clothes, they're going to outgrow the toys. They're going to outgrow the clothes, the toys they're going to get bored with. But the money that we put aside, like small incremental amounts, by the time they're 18, is going to be able to set them up, far better than most individuals, right? So like, I know that's something that I did was whenever my aunts or whoever gave money to my kids, I would put it, at first I put it in a savings account until I knew better, and
Mhm.
then moved it over into an investment account. But yeah, I mean, we're talking like $25. Like it's not a lot to most, but that little bit every time like adds up when you're investing it. So I love that idea, and kudos to that grandmother who's like, you know what, I'm setting my grandchildren up for,
Mhm.
even better, you know.
And I know it might feel weird. It might feel weird, like
Yeah,
at the birthdays when you feel like even the kid is probably programmed to say everyone's going to give me something that I'm going to unwrap. But you just have to put that aside. When they are 15, 16, 18, then they'll realize, oh, okay.
yeah.
They were putting in a lot of work, but it wasn't the cars and the whatever,
Look, and
that kids are playing with
I was gonna say,
nowadays.
if it makes you feel weird, you can always still put in a little card and say, "Hey, I have invested this money for you." It's still
Yeah.
something they can unwrap,
Yeah.
but like also planting the seed in their mind about investing too. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I was just touching on staying out of debt, but yeah, you were touching on setting a spending limit. Are you a strictly credit card person? I am a credit card person.
I am a credit card person for fixed expenses. For
Okay.
me, so essentially, I use a credit card for all of the bills that I know like have a fixed due date, and then I put it on there. I actually use Fidelity rewards simply because the cash rewards that I get back, that cash is actually deposited into my brokerage account, and then I just invest it. So I'm getting paid for paying my bills, and that money is then being invested and making more money. So I like to use a credit card specifically for those fixed expenses. And I say that because where people get into trouble most, what I've found is when it's those variable expenses and they're just like swiping. And
Mhm.
the bill comes and it's like, oh my gosh, I spent that much. And then it's hard for them to get out of the debt because, they're not aware of, where they're spending their money. So I like to use credit cards for fixed expenses specifically. Not that I don't use it for variable expenses, but I like to make sure that I have more control over it.
Okay. So, I don't know how much your variable expenses are, but you don't feel like you're losing out on the cashback and different rewards by having
No.
so much. No, it doesn't bother you?
Because I think because I'm using the Fidelity Rewards card and like I'm getting that cash back and I'm able to, but like I said, I
Okay.
still use it. So like for my Amex cards, I do use it, but I know myself and like how I spend with credit cards, and like I want to make sure that if I'm using it, I'm paying it off. Because being in debt before with credit cards, like I know how my habits are, so I had created a system where I can manage it so that I know these are fixed bills, they're already in the budget. I can pay it off at the end of the month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I know the credit card points is a thing. Like I love the cashback reward, but any other like credit card system with variable expenses, I think that's where at least the women that I've coached, that's where a lot of them get into trouble with the credit card. Like I just want to get the points, but they're not using the cards in a way where they're able to use what they're actually planning in their budget. They're spending beyond that. And then they find themselves in a situation like, oh my gosh, like I got all this debt. What happened? How did I get here? So how do you manage? I mean, I'd love to know how you manage your variable expenses and still maximizing your credit card points.
Well, I mean, I use unless they don't take a credit card. Like I have oil for my home heating. They
Mhm.
will not accept a credit card.
Mm,
That's the only reason I don't use it, unless they don't accept it, or for some reason there's a large fee associated with it, larger than I think is worth,
yeah,
the reward potential. For everything else, I use my credit card. I'm
yeah,
trying not to use my checking account for anything.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it seems like I did not get into the shorts feed. The vertical is not working for me. Oh,
Mm.
well. Next time around. Vincent, if you're still here, I did acknowledge you at the beginning of the show, but we were having some technical difficulties there, and I don't know if you're multitasking, watching football or something. But I just want to say thanks again. Um, okay, major changes in the chat for sure. Using credit cards for at least 85% of my spends. Yes, yes.
And I think
Yeah,
it's great. Like, I don't have an issue with credit card spending. I just know that a lot of people get into trouble with it when they are not mindful of how they're spending with it. But if you're someone that's like, I know exactly what I'm spending, I have the cash as soon as that bill comes to pay my balance in full, then that, like, you're managing it well. I just find that most people kind of lose sight and disconnect when they're just swiping.
yeah.
And so that swipe then becomes like a mountain of debt that they're overwhelmed with, like, how do I pay this back? You know?
Yeah, I don't have that issue at all. I'm like that. As I charge it, I'm paying it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to linger.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not, it hasn't been an obstacle for me.
Mhm.
Because I am like, I do not want any interest to hit. So I'm on top of it. So let's see what the one is sharing here. I'm that grandfather. Um, my son told me not to buy any more toys, just invest into the
I
529.
love
Okay,
that.
okay.
Yes.
So grandpa's wearing that hat for that child to have something different that a lot of us did not have growing up. No one was trying to think, let's build for their college funds and just terms and concepts that might not have been a part of our households. I know you're from a big family, but big or small. Oh, Vincent is still here. Okay. I didn't know if you heard me earlier. Yep, not paying interest on credit cards, 100%. Um, Yes. So I just want to note that we're coming up on holiday times, whether it's holiday times or Christmas, or I mean not Christmas, birthdays, whatever your family, all families are different. We're not all celebrating the same things, but so don't tie it to the words that I'm using. But if there are certain occasions in your culture where gifts are given, just see if someone can take on that role. And I'm sure Tashika has information on it too, as far as 529 UTMA accounts. Um, those are accounts, investment accounts that we can use on behalf of our children, and so those are more. So you're going to get more substantial gains over time in that. As opposed to just sticking with a savings account, which a lot of us, we're all familiar with that. I'm sure we all do some type of banking and checking. We all grew up with that at least,
Mhm.
but that's not the way to be on track to truly build wealth. So, all right, let's see. Yeah, I touched on it, but I didn't really do any like deep research. But yeah, the medical costs uh, are one of those things that have increased very drastically. And so, we all have to have emergency savings put aside for those unexpected bills, whether it's tied to medical or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, we have to be in tune with our deductibles and, make a plan. Going to the emergency or urgent care may not be the plan that you should rely on. Have a contact, make sure you have your own primary doctor, and just think things through and try to do better planning so that you're not suddenly having to potentially use a source that is going to be cost you more in the long run. So
Yeah,
Vincent
one
is
of the things
saying,
that I've done, so we and you know, being young and then fairly healthy. So for individuals, if you're fairly healthy, what I would always recommend is if you go to the doctor at least once a year, your regular visit, and you're kind of finding that, oh, things are always normal. I want to say maybe my 30s actually shifted to a high deductible plan, which allowed me to get a health savings account, which the great thing about a health savings account is it's taken out before taxes. If you're using it for medical expenses, you don't have to pay tax on that money. And then you can also invest that money. So that's what I've actually been doing with my HSA is investing that. And it's actually been helpful for me since getting laid off 2 years ago. So when we go to the doctors and maybe we need to pay for something, we just take it out of there. And then that's beneficial. And this use, like I said, if you're not someone who, or if you're someone who like you don't have a lot of things going on and you like go to the doctor for your regular visits, like I think that would be better for you, simply because you can actually save that money and invest it, and then you're getting those triple tax benefits with it. But that's something to think about. Again, of course the amount you out of pocket costs might be higher. So if something does happen, just know that your costs are going to be higher, but at least you have the health savings account on the side where you can actually use that. But that's something that we've done, because it's like I'm spending all this money on healthcare, insurance, but I'm not really utilizing it because I go to the doctor once a year and nothing else is happening. So he found that to be most beneficial.
Yeah, I have nothing to really share on that topic because I've never done it. I've never done it. And there have been years when my medical bills, like this year, right now, there's no co-pays, everything is free for the rest of the year, because I definitely had an extensive amount of medical costs this year.
Okay.
So. But unexpected, so you never know. But I always felt like I wasn't sure what things were going to look like, and did I need to be tied into having that going on. So let me first take a look at Vincent's comment here. Starting to think about asking for cash for birthday and Christmas. That's not a bad idea. Then invest the cash into index funds or stocks. Yes. Let's keep on spreading the word so that this becomes the norm. And maybe if it hurts, like if somebody feels like, man, I'm the boring one here. I'm always just giving the contribution to the 529. Maybe you guys can rotate family members, figure out a way to make it work and feel good, because when that day comes, especially
they will thank you in the end. Yeah.
Especially for those of us that did not have anything, like you said, let's try to create something and show something different. Okay, and thank you. It doesn't show up on the stage. What happened here? Okay, yes, it does. Thank you, Major Change, for that super sticker. I appreciate you tuning in. Also, I have an HSA, and I put it towards my deductibles. Okay. Yeah, that's one of those things that I just never got on board with. Then, okay, so then she's saying, then I just use for eyeglasses, contacts, and other things. Okay, yeah, I have all these expenses. I wear contacts. I have the co-pays. What is FSA? Is it HSA? HSA, FSA is basically the same thing? Or
FSA is a flexible spending account. So that one is you put money towards, and it can be for medical expenses, but it's a use it or lose it type of thing.
Oh, I think that's what was my I think that's where my concern came in. Is like I could never project. There's certain years that I've had a couple of surgeries. Nothing too, surgery is surgery. It's expensive no matter what it is. But you just never know when those years are going to be. So I think that's what I just didn't know if I wanted it to be locked in.
And I think that's why when most people at the end of the year, they'll look and then they'll be like, oh, I need to spend this money. So they'll go to CVS and just rack up
yeah. If it's $100, you can do it, but I don't want to be left with anything.
Right. I got $3,000 left in my FSA, and then it's but that's also why I chose to do the health savings account, because that money rolls over with you. You leave the employer, it comes with you. And then you can invest it, use it in retirement. So that's one of the reasons why I was like, I would definitely want to do HSA.
Okay, well, I'm on a journey here, guys. See, so and I'm not on board with, but of course, I'm finding a way to make it through and just paying as I go. But something that could make it easier, and while that money is waiting, being invested is also another benefit. So, yeah, Vincent is sharing; he's also on board with the FSA. Okay, yeah. What I get for rushing, setting up this live, probably something went wrong. Okay, so the stock market, I don't know. You're a kind of a set it and forget it not chasing the dip and changing your investment plan. But overall, have you been keeping in tune with what's gone on over the last few weeks? I put down our topic as it's not a loss unless you sell.
Oh yeah, because I
And
mean, the dips that's been happening over the last weeks or so, I think is definitely actually this time I did buy more.
oh,
I
you
bought
did?
more. I think I did buy like another share of NVDA. Because I love NVIDIA. I
Mhm.
think when it dropped down to like 170 something. But for the most part, yeah, it's just the consistent just investing. But I love what you're saying there too. It's not a loss unless you sell, because that's one of the things that a lot of people, myself included in the beginning, was like, oh my gosh, my portfolio. I mean, when I looked at my portfolio, I want to say it was down maybe like 3,000. And I was just like, oh, okay. And then a few days later, it's right back up. So it's
Mhm.
definitely, it's a roller coaster ride, guys. Like
Yeah.
you just
So
got to buckle up.
can you name one or two investments that you today know were 100% quality investments that you should have just turned an eye, just turned your head and just given it time to recover, but you cut it from your portfolio during one of those times when things were a little crazy?
And this was like very early on. Apple.
Apple, okay. Yeah,
Apple.
Apple stock.
I mean, I had Apple, Honeywell, and I believe it was Alphabet, Google.
Google.
Those were
Oh,
the three that I had, and I mean, and if you know, you know, but for those in the audience, if you know Apple, Google, like those companies now, it's like, oh my gosh, if I knew then what I knew now, oof,
did
it
you
would have been
see in the
different.
news? Did you see in the news last week how Berkshire Hathaway just opened a huge position into Google for the first time?
I did not see that.
Okay, that's
Okay.
one that they said they should have that like that was kind of like the one that got away that they should have been in for the
Oh
longest.
my
But yeah, they it's pretty substantial, Berkshire
God.
Hathaway, of course.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Uh,
interesting. Go check that article out. Wow.
okay, what's next up on my list?
But I'll say for you, like, so what's your I'd love to know
So,
for you, 'cause
okay,
you do invest.
4.9, Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway built a $4.9 billion stake into Alphabet. So, yes, that's one that Tashika now knows that there was no reason to let that one go.
There was no reason. Oh my goodness.
Anytime the market dips, anytime the market dip, I buy. Okay. Well, we can't buy every dip, but
Yeah.
yes, we can try to do extra but sometimes when things get really, really volatile, it gets hard. It gets hard to keep up if you're feeling like you're trying to time it and time it and time it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I get into those places sometimes myself. Thank you for tuning in, Homebody Trish. Let's see. Okay. So what else do I have here? Yes. So guys, it's easier, I think, overall when you're just investing into your 401k and you're just, it comes out of your paycheck, it's getting invested. Guys, don't think that you just get a job and you just contribute and you don't have to be hands-on and take a look at all of the investment choices and the performance and those target date funds. Even if that's all they offer, you have a bit of flexibility there too, and trying to potentially, this is not financial advice, but one thing that I've done is to use a date further out than what would normally correspond to my retirement age so that I can stay a bit more aggressive, because they dial back so too early, in my opinion. And I think that's let me see. That is one of the topics that I have for today too. But let me try to stay in order. Let's see.
I think we were talking about
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
investment. I wanted to
So
know. I was gonna say I
I
wanted
did.
to know about your. You said you buy the dip. I wanted to know like your like how you fund your investments through like buying the dip. Is it like certain companies that you're like, yes, those are my go-tos, or is it just your index fund?
It could be anything. Like over the last few weeks, Meta
Yeah.
had pulled back. I not that I don't think that in the future that they will have potential, but I finally cut some Disney from my portfolio. I moved it over to Netflix and NVIDIA.
Hmm.
Uh, because I just have no more patience. My average was high. The day that I didn't sell all of it yet, but the
Yeah.
day that I sold my Disney shares, I was down about 2%. So
Mm. Okay.
I wasn't even in the green. But I didn't want to hold on anymore. I'm down more than 2% now on the ones that I still on what I'm still holding.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's either, and I'm not one to take profit on my investments. I'm not in that stage right now. I'm in the building stage. So when I sold the Disney, I pretty much immediately was ready to put it into something else. It wasn't that I wanted the cash to hold. I knew it was going to be reinvested.
Hmm.
And right now I've been building up, for example, a position into SPMO. And so on a regular schedule, I'm just buying like zero point 0.1 shares, just going like that. And then on those days when I do see, I have my alert set. So, I set my alerts by dollar amount, by percentage, like if it comes down by 2%, 2.5%, so that I get those alerts and I can take a look and say, okay, in addition to my regular, zero point 0.1, which is right now at the share price, that's about $12. So if there's a day when things are looking a little dreary, those, the leaders, the highest weighted investments in that fund are pulling it down, then I might do an extra, 25 or 50 or whatever, so that I can take advantage, or maybe do one full share instead of my, zero point 0.1 of a share on that particular day. So that's how I go about it, but it all depends on, what account I have available cash in order to do this. That my
Hmm.
SPMO, that I'm doing that one right now in a retirement account. So
Okay.
I have money that I need to get invested. I don't want it to be sitting in cash for too long, That's another thing I have to balance
You want that
is
money working.
yes, yes. So and speaking of NVIDIA, I'm going to be doing a video. I just finished an 11-week stretch where I was doing $10 a day into NVIDIA. So
Oh,
I'm going to share an
yeah.
update on where I'm at
Okay.
as of this weekend, because I just finished that on Friday. So now, okay, I was already touching on it already. When to dial back your investments. What are your thoughts on this? Because like I was already saying, these target date funds and the encouragement that you might be getting from the professionals, I don't agree with. I have, when anyone shares, I don't want to know anything about bonds. Like sometimes when people, I
He's
got
like, don't tell me anything about
because sometimes even once I go to someone's channel, I'm chatting in their chat, and they want to give me a shout out, say like, check
Yeah.
out this channel. She can teach you all about the stocks and bonds and the no. Please don't tell them that I'm going to share anything about any.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
God.
I'm not about the bonds. So let me know your thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this seriously. And I even went to Fidelity a few months back. And the person that I was talking to, I was setting up a new account. I had some questions. I decided to go in person, which I very rarely do. But I decided to go there. I was talking to him, and he told me that the performance of my portfolio is better than his, and he works there. So I know it's because he's being conservative,
Conservative.
doing the technical mix of,
Yeah.
the balance of let's have some international and some this and the bonds. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I'm kind of the same way. Like I do have bonds, but probably like 5%. But I'm literally like 95% like just all in stocks. But because you have the recommendations, like you said, is like, oh, take your age and subtract the number. And I did that. And I was like, no, I mean, I'm 42. And what the recommendation was, I'm like, that's not as aggressive enough as I want to be. Like, I'm still young. Like, I've still got plenty of time ahead. I want my money to work.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I have I do have bonds, but very small amount. But yeah, 95% is.
Why do you even have any bonds? I think all of us, I don't even know the age of anyone in this chat. Me, you, everyone in this chat, we are all too young and vibrant to have any.
We do have a lot of years to go until,
No, so what is okay, I've had two people share bonds investments with me recently. I'm not going to get too into it because one of them, I think we're going to be talking about it. I'm not sure. But I will share one, and it was BND. Let's see, which is the Vanguard Total Bonds Market Index Funds.
I believe.
And okay.
I was like, I believe that's the one that. Let me go back in my.
Okay, so I'm pushing out for the 5,
but it is with Fidelity.
This is the 5-year performance on BND. Negative, down 16.09%. So that when the person asks me, should I have an investment into BND? I said, you would make more money leaving it in the uninvested portion of your investment account, having it at Discover or Ally or whatever high yield savings account you use. Absolutely not. I do not want you in the BND. So I'm just using this as
I'm in FXNAX, and my return is 11%. I mean, not as good as the other ones. Like NVDA, I'm at like 231%. So, definitely, but it's a small portion. So actually, it's like 4.53% of my account.
All right. So I was being extreme there.
11% is decent for me for just that small portion.
How much? What was the percent return? Sorry.
11%.
Over what time frame?
So this is just the total gains losses.
Total gain. Okay. Yeah, but well, year to date, this particular investment is up 3%. But yeah, when I look at an investment, if I go out to the 5-year, I want to see 100%. I want to see 100, or at least close to it. 95, 100. I want to see something going in that direction. Let's see.
Yeah, year to date is 6%.
All right, so let's
5 years is like negative 0.24%.
Okay, so just to show you the VOO, which is the S&P 500, Vanguard S&P 500, 5-year return is 89.23. So, and then year to date is 14. So yeah, why are we going to be in a bond that's giving us 3% and lost us money over the long term? So just a quick example of the balance that the professionals want us to have with those bonds. I don't think that anyone in their 30s, early 40s, late 40s need to have any significant investment in anything that's that conservative. And not it to me, it's not even conservative. If you're not beating my savings account, right, that's beyond that I just let me just leave my money in just regular savings than to put it there for it to potentially
lose money. Yeah.
So conservative allocation equals less risk, more stability. But yeah, I think that you have to know where you're at in your investing journey, because there is going to be a time when you need to dial it back. But even if I was in that place to dial it back, I wouldn't go. That wouldn't be my go-to, considering how it's performing against a regular savings account at this time. And I know those rates are going to continue. Interest rates could come down even more over the years. So we have to be in tune with that. If there is a time frame when you feel that is actually more beneficial than a regular savings account, but for right now, I'm not seeing it.
And
And
I will say for those people, because I mean, it's also temperament. I feel like I'm okay with being mostly aggressive, but there might be people out there. If you're like, oh my gosh, the stocks are going down and you're rushing to sell, remember, you're not losing anything until you sell. You just need to let it ride and ride the roller coaster. But if your temperament is like you don't want to see your portfolio dropping, I wouldn't recommend this. And I'm not an advisor, so I'm not recommending anything. But what I'm saying is people like that may want to have more conservative where they can withstand not seeing their portfolio fluctuate. But if you want your money to grow, if you want your money to grow, then you definitely want to make sure you're in some more aggressive investments where you're getting that return. So
yeah, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Trish. Thank you for being here while you could. Major change. Let's see. Bonds are good for retirees. I buy bonds monthly. Okay. So, guys, I am Lisa J. Stocks, and I am dual streaming here today with Jania Wealth, Tashika, Jama. Let me. That's why I told you at the beginning to introduce yourself before I start twisting up your name and your channel name. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, please?
Jama Wealth.
Jama Wealth.
My name is Tashika. Yeah, that you did get right.
I've been getting right. Okay.
I said that you got right.
And so if you're not already and you're enjoying this discussion today, make sure you subscribe to both of our channels and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with our videos, live streams, hopefully future collaborations if you enjoy them. So I don't know if this person is still here, but they were asking about stock options. I need more than that. What is your question? If you're still here, drop it in the chat. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, we just finished talking a little bit about dialing back investments. And it is something that is needed. You have to keep an eye on it. You have to create that right balance, but don't be too conservative when you're too young, and be in tune with the performance. Set a standard for yourself, and don't let yourself be, don't think that someone else has your best interests at heart. You have to get out there and advocate for yourself, have an understanding, and do the best that you can. No one is here trying to build up your portfolio for you. There are elements to investing where they're going to want to have you in a fund that may have a higher fee in order to gain them more money on their end. So we have to just have our eyes and our minds open to these different things. So I hear people.
Your best advocate. Yeah.
Okay, so someone is saying, I hear people talking about XRP. Should we really be looking at that? I just recently did a video about XRP ETF, which is now available. So you can now invest into XRP at your, bigger brokerage companies like Fidelity, and in different ways, just like they created one for FBTC, for example, at Fidelity to give us exposure to Bitcoin. I was just watching.
I thought it was so it's a Bitcoin. So I'm like, I've heard of it, but I'm like, it's Bitcoin? An ETF for Bitcoin? XRP?
No. XRP. I was using FBTC as an example of something created to have exposure to Bitcoin. Okay. But the XRP one, I think, is XRPC. So is the ETF that just recently was approved. So I have XRP in my portfolio. Do you hold any crypto in your portfolio before I go on about it?
I have a teeny little bit of crypto. My goal is to get more into it, but I've like a teeny amount.
Yes. So in an account that I have at Fidelity, I hold FBTC. Outside of that, I hold in one of my taxable accounts, I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and some other but mostly bigger names, or just things that I wanted to dabble into that, like Shiba Inu. But you have to realize the volatility. I believe in the potential, but I'm also a person that I'm not going to have any significant amount in there that's going to stress me out. I was
Yeah.
just watching something earlier, and we've seen a significant pullback because we had gotten up to 100. I'm referring to Bitcoin with my what I'm going to be saying now, not XRP, but in general, we've seen Bitcoin go up to 120, a little over 120,000. And right as of the time right now, I think we're probably at about 94,000. So we have to be ready for that. I've already been through it with Bitcoin. Let's see, Bitcoin is 94,315. I've been through it with Bitcoin, holding it, seeing it go from 60,000, 50, 60,000 to below 20. So I was just watching something earlier today. It says you have to have a 4-year time horizon when it comes to that particular article or interview was related to Bitcoin. But that's kind of in general the way that I think about my crypto. You have to be ready for those extreme swings, unlike you're going to see in your Google or Apple or something like that. And when I have a good quality, whether it's an ETF or my blue chip stocks, I don't have a stop loss put on them. And so I'm going to be willing to ride the wave,
Mm,
uh, unless it's something that I feel is speculative. Because, like what happened with Liberation Day, we had we have a couple of significant dips over the last few weeks.
yeah.
What percentage would I have had to have set? There's certain things I don't want to be diamond handing accidentally, so I'm going to have my stop loss on. But if for some reason, Trump tweeted something and there was some drastic changes and something that made the market dip by 18%.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to lose my entire portfolio and deal with the tax implications and have to rebuy back all of no.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to lose my investments into, my S&P 500 investment, my Apple, my Google, my Tesla, my NVDA, over short-term
Right.
volatility. So, but yes, XRP, I'm holding it. It's kind of been not moving much for some time now that I have been holding it, but I did, I think it was back on October 10th was the last time I really built into it. We had a pretty significant dip. Still building on my Bitcoin position and FBTC, but I'm giving it time, and so I'm not in a rush, and I won't be. I'm not taking profits. I'm just waiting and holding and seeing, because one day, potentially, who knows, XRP could be $15 and Bitcoin could be 500K. So,
Yeah.
but you have to do what you're comfortable with, because
And
uh,
that's the key.
it's not something. We can look at the financials and do different research when it comes to Google or Meta or, the subscribers, and the profitability of Netflix, which I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to mention we should be seeing Netflix
Yeah.
stock split as of tomorrow. So I probably will be giving an update on that also. So let's see what the one is saying here. I noticed the correlation between the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. When the market dipped, Bitcoin also pulled back. Yeah. Well, people are going to take profits on, people are also going to be taking profits on their crypto investments. So you are going to see some of those things. Google News, yes. Is Nora talking about that Berkshire Hathaway also? I'm not sure if she put that there when I was talking about that. Yeah, Nora's a Doge. I don't hold any Doge. I've traded it. I don't hold it I'm not holding any position in it though. Okay. So, all right. So you just have a teeny bit of crypto. It's not for you.
Not that it's not for me. Again, it's one of those things. I always have the philosophy, like, if I don't quite understand it, I believe in the potential of it, but it's like, I'd rather put my money in, the stock market over here with companies that I know. And so I want to say, back when obviously Bitcoin was going around 2020, 2021, I started, DCAing. I maybe did that for a year. So like I said, I don't have a lot in there, and I just kind of left it, just let it do its thing. But it is it is very volatile for my liking.
For your liking, yeah.
It's like, oh, so I'm like, my goal is definitely to start, picking back and putting in there. But right now I'm just like, ugh, I don't know. Yeah. It's like my heart would drop, was like you just said, it was at 120,000 and then it dropped to like 95, and I know it fluctuates and I know it like goes up and down, but right now in this stage for me, it's like I want to put my money somewhere where I see the continued momentum upward in that space. But yeah.
Yeah, just to take a look at, let's look at a year on Bitcoin. We have a high, we have 76,000 here, and nearly 125,000 up here. So yeah, it's a lot to deal with. It is a lot to deal with, but who knows what it will be in the future. There are people that bought Bitcoin at $100
I
and
know, right?
didn't know what it could be. The person that bought the pizzas with his Bitcoin or whatever, these things that we've heard. But yeah.
And I heard someone recently, what store is it that is actually accepting Bitcoin as payment? Have you heard about that?
Stores accepting it? Yeah, I've heard of that. I won't be using my Bitcoin to pay my taxes or do anything like that. Nope, not me.
I even heard someone who has a card that I think she said she went to her hairdresser, and when she uses her card, like any change over, she gets it back in like Bitcoin. So I'm like, that's interesting. So I mean, I know that it's definitely weaving its way into everything now. So that's what I'm like, I'm keeping my eye on it. Like I have my little portion of it in there, but yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Okay. Sheikah's just taking it slow still.
I'm taking it slow. I'm like, I'm warming up. I mean, I know it's been a few years since I started in there, but I'm like, I'm warming up. I'm still not like.
Yes, I must admit, I've shared this before, but that after election night, when we were looking at the election results and Bitcoin on the screen together, and I just felt like, I'm gonna step up my crypto position. I did shift. I did make a shift at the end of last year related to that. So, well, partially related to that. I already had it. I've been holding it for years, but yes, I stepped it up. And so investing with Rod, thank you for tuning in. Okay, so last topic I wanted to touch on is building. I'm saying last topic. That might not be true. Oh, no, there is another topic. I wonder if I should just skip this topic and get on to the other one, because the other one I thought was more interesting. The couples and money, combined or separate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's jump to that. Let's jump to that. Maybe another time we'll remember. We skipped number 5. But I sent you an article. I sent you a interview, and it was a long interview. I didn't mean for you to have to even watch it, but the title alone really caught my eye. I did watch a little bit of it, but I wanted to talk about what your opinion is about, and I think this is an important one, combined or separate. The title of the video that I sent you was, sorry guys, I seem to be a little glitchy on my end. I don't know what you guys are seeing on your screen. But the title was, this person was saying they regret combining their finances. And so I think the problem with this statement that she was making, and they were in a long relationship. I mean, like 25 years. It wasn't something new. So one partner can't be on a path to building, a $2 million portfolio, while the other one is over here still getting into debt in their 60s with no retirement saved. That's not a plan, in my opinion, because what's going to happen at the end of the road when you guys are both pushing 70? You're going to be living off of what one was focused on, So I think that you need to be aligned, and just saying we should have never combined our finances is definitely not enough. whether it's combined or separate, that's your personal preference, with whoever you're in a relationship or live in a household with. But I think you need to be transparent about your student loan debt, your credit card debt. What is your credit score? How are your investment portfolios looking? Because if you guys are going to remain living together and paying these household bills together, at some point you can't go to work and bring in that income the way that you are. So this is what I really wanted to get your insights on, and I thought that this would be an interesting topic that.
This is a good topic. I know it comes up quite often, and I did watch the video in full. I think there's going to be a part two, which I'm interested in seeing the part two. But no, I think, and as someone who has been married for 20 years, I know my philosophy when I got married. I thought, oh, you just need to combine everything. Years of wisdom. I honestly feel like it is a personal decision, but the most important thing, and you touched on this, it's important that both parties, regardless of who is managing the money, both parties need to be aligned on what is the vision, where are you guys moving towards? Because if one person is managing it, but like you said, this person's over here just racking up debt, and this person's trying to build wealth, it's not going to mesh, right? And I think in that situation, it seemed like she got another job, she started making more money and was like trying to build up, but kept being dragged down because he was, adding on a bunch of debt. You can have separate finances, and then managing some things together, but like I don't like saying everything has to be together, everything has to be separate. It really comes down to how you guys align and what your goals are and what you're working towards, because it may work different. Some people might be able to have all their finances together and have a great system where they're both on the same page and they're both investing, and that can work out well. But if you have that imbalance where one person's all about like, I want to invest and achieve financial freedom, but the other person's like, I just want to be free and YOLO, then y'all are going to need to come together and create a system that is going to help you both still have your values, but still pushing everyone forward. Like, so it's always a personal decision. And I've seen people, I've seen women that I've coached who have been burned by having joint finances. But the challenge with that was that they weren't really aware of what was going on with the finance. And I think that's the issue. It's like I said, regardless of who's managing the finances, there has to be awareness from both parties as to what is happening and what you guys are working towards.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah. So to just the way that this particular interview, the heading of it, we should have never combined our finances. The combining is the least of the issue. I felt is that yeah, you guys need to be on track. Okay, at age 48, are we going to start focusing for the next decade of paying off the mortgage? Or your goals need to be in line. And that's all those things are what matters. It's not the small thing of having the finances mixed and he's spending too much. That's the result. But yeah, we don't want that either. But there are much higher level issues that need to be addressed. So just something I thought was interesting. As I did not watch the whole entire video.
I was at the gym actually, and I'm like on the treadmill, just like listening to it. But yeah, but you're right. I think the main thing in that was that they were just not on the same page. They weren't aligned on what they want. Like she very much knew what she wanted, and he was just kind of like,
And do you know the age difference between the couple and the video?
Like he was 65. I want to say she may be in her 50s because she said when she was in her 40s, she went back to law school. So I'm thinking she's in her 50s. So she's very much near retirement age as well. But if I would guess, just based on the way she was talking, probably maybe 10-year difference.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking too. But he did say his age, and he was older. He was in his mid-60s, and he's running up the credit card debt, like
all the electronics, and like I said, not that you can't buy the things you want, but you have to have a plan of, okay, I'm going to first start with investing and making sure I'm set, and then I can
Mhm.
enjoy what's left over. But it sounded like he was very much just like, I like all these things. He was in the military and he had that structured life, and now he has that freedom.
Mhm.
So I think it's also the mindset, the thing that was had to play in there as well. Um, but there was definitely misalignment with
Mhm.
what they both were working towards.
Yeah. I don't think there was one portfolio, Solomon. I think that in this scenario that we're talking about, it's that one person is focused on building up their portfolio, and I'm thinking at the end of, when the time comes, basically both of them are gonna be living off of the
That
wife's
was
responsible, her being responsible and being mindful and, trying to stay out of debt. She's going to be digging the husband out of debt because he's in his mid 60s and
yeah.
still racking up credit card debt and going to Best Buy and here and there. And she just, and spending her money once the money was combined, overspending, where she was kind of disappointed. So let's see if there's any questions. Dr. Ninja, thank you for tuning in. Dr. Ninja's here. Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle. That's a very
I love
colorful
that.
name.
Let's say the combination doesn't work. Oh, that combination.
But, if you're both working different jobs over different, time spans, you're going to have individual portfolios over, especially if she's still working, she's probably contributing to the retirement plan of her current employer. So it's going to happen. Okay. So yeah, that's the one I really was like, oh, this is a fun one. But I was talking about it so high level. We're referring to the it's not definitely like a reflection of the actual video, but I thought just from seeing the title alone, you would be able to be in tune with the direction that I wanted to go with tying it into our conversation. So, is there anything else that you want to share? Any other thoughts or things that you think that we might come back to in the future as far as collaborating? What did you think of this discussion today?
This was good. I love the topics, especially timely because the holidays are on the corner, and this is the time when most people tend to get into debt and then spend the new year trying to pay it off. So I think definitely a good topic, and avoiding debt, and then also how do you focus on building up your investments. But I will say the last point that I would want to make, kind of tying everything together, which we just talked about with the whole situation with the couple, but for everyone needs to have a vision of what they want for their life, because what you're doing now, I'm sure, Lisa, you can attest this, and for me with my investment goal, I know what type of life I want to live in retirement. So I'm taking on the habits and behaviors now of what I need to do to make sure that happens. So if you don't have a vision of like what you want your life to look like, then you may be spending up and racking up in debt, and you're wondering like, what's going on? Why can't I seem to move ahead? It's because you have to be in alignment with, this is what I want for my life, and then work backwards as to what is it that you can do now to make sure that happens, whether it's through investing and making sure that you're building up a portfolio, so that once you get to that point, you have enough to be able to hang up, the job, and then just, enjoy your life, right? So I think it's very important, just get clear on what you want, and please make sure your money is working for you. Like, you want your money working for you.
Yes, and if you're in the bond funds, take a close look at it. But yes, definitely agree with what Tashika was saying. And maybe that's something we can get deeper into in another show. Just building that lifetime income plan,
Mhm.
because you can't just well, a lot of us are, but hopefully I want to encourage you to not just be going along, floating along in your 30s or 40s and not have a plan that you're working towards, because you can't just do it in overnight when you're 55. It's not going to happen like that.
The older
So,
you get.
yeah, yes. So we have to put in the work little by little over time, and then be able to rest in our old age, and, as I say, retire with dignity, and be able to not have the stresses of what many people are facing today. But
Ooh, I was gonna say I think the next conversation too, definitely the topic that we didn't get too much into, building a lifetime income plan, but I'd love to
Mhm,
dive into, um, you know, the idea that most people have, the YOLO idea of, oh, I just want to have fun now because if I wait until retirement, I may not live as long. I'd love to dive into that and like, how can you enjoy your life now and still build for your future in retirement? Because I think
mhm.
that's a topic that a lot of people tend to think that it's either or, like they have to sacrifice everything now and then just invest, or some people think that they just need to like YOLO and oh, retirement will come. So that
Yeah.
would be a great discussion to see from both sides of it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So we guys, I guess that means we will be back together in the future. We're already making plans for our next topics. So make sure to subscribe, like, hit that notification bell. Make sure that check out both of our channels if you like what you see. Make sure to leave us some comments on our videos and let us know that you were there so that we know that you are supporting, you are engaging, you are getting us pushed out there in these YouTube streets and analytics. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to let Tashika get back to her family, football, dinner, all the things, because it's getting late in the day. I was supposed to pick my daughter up at 4, but she actually came home from work early, but she's not feeling well.
Oh,
So I'm going to go check on her and have dinner, and you will not be late next time. Okay. I will try not to be late for your live stream either. But um, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. Bye-bye.
hi.